Mortgage crisis. Checking the numbers, down. S&P futures down 0.5%. NASDAQ futures are down 0.6%. In a pushback against ICE and Border Patrol tactics, clergy, unions, and immigrant rights activists mounted what they called a general strike and economic blackout in Minnesota last week. Some businesses closed, employees stayed home, with some participating in public protest. For today, there are calls for a national shutdown in solidarity with people in Minnesota opposed to Trump administration immigration activities. Marketplace's Mitchell Hartman has more on an American tradition that leverages the workplace.
Mass work slowdowns and stoppages go back as early as the Civil War, says Peter Ratcliffe, a labor historian at Macalester College in St. Paul, Minnesota. By refusing to work, destroying crops, escaping to join the Union Army,
enslaved men and women profoundly damaged the Southern economy.
In 1886, a nationwide general strike called for the 8-hour workday. 1934 was a year of general strikes, including in Minneapolis, where the Teamsters joined with unions across industries, supported by neighborhood businesses and residents setting up
soup kitchens, health commissaries, mass meetings.
Similar to what Minnesotans are doing to support protesters today. There's another parallel with history, says UC Irvine sociologist David Meyer.
These general strikes come at times of economic privation and crisis, depressions, recessions, shutdowns, slowdowns. Remember, lots of Americans feel left out of the growing GDP right now.
Today's economic shutdowns aim to bring pressure on the system from consumers even more than workers. And while one day of not shopping might have limited impact, Wharton marketing professor Americus Reed says,
consumers don't realize how much power they have if they just reduce consumption a little bit, 5, 10, 15%, add it up across hundreds of millions of people.
Reed says that could pressure some big brands to speak out more forcefully on the issues of the day. I'm Mitchell Hartman for Marketplace.
Marketplace Morning Report is supported by GEP. With GEP Key, Agentic AI, and GEP Smart Software, GEP is at the forefront in agentic procurement orchestration and autonomous supply chains. And by Fidelity, a dedicated advisor can help create a comprehensive wealth plan. Investment minimums apply. Fidelity Brokerage Services, LLC.
Everyone loves a pop quiz, right? So what market structure best describes the space agency NASA in the 1990s? A, government monopoly. B, commercial monopoly. C, oligopoly. Or D, monopolistic competition. If you went with A, government monopoly, congratulations, you might do well. In a high school course in financial literacy, a subset of U.S. states now require schools to teach some kind of financial literacy in economics as part about teaching about markets, entrepreneurship, and our system of capitalism. Ayelet Sheffi got a better sense of some of those curricula. She's senior education reporter at Business Insider. Welcome.
Hi, thanks so much for having me.
In the last couple of years, since 2022, a dozen states have passed legislation requiring some kind of financial literacy in schools. What's driving this at the state level, do you think?
I think it ultimately boils down to the need for students to be able to graduate high school with a basic understanding of economic principles, especially the understanding that capitalism is the dominant economic system in the U.S. And students need to have that basic knowledge to graduate high school, be successful in the real world, whether that's entering the workforce directly, going to college. They need to have that basic understanding of econ.
I assume you see some variance across states with how this question of what is capitalism, how does it work, how that gets answered. I mean, you can imagine a classroom where the gist is that, capitalism and the market system solves most things. And that, of course, is a notion that's in great dispute.
Students are just more aware of economic conditions in the U.S. They're aware that there's a wealth gap. They see headlines all the time that, the rich keep getting richer. They're continuing to accumulate wealth. And that has a lot of not just young people, but Americans of all ages increasingly skeptical that capitalism is the system that best works for Americans and for the United States. So teachers are forced to, kind of reckon with this balance of teaching about capitalism, what it is, how it works, while also understanding that it might not work in the best way for some people.
I having been married to a teacher for a long time, know that it takes a long time to change curriculum, but there may have to be some updating of the curriculum, right, with President Trump's impulse to intervene directly in the running of companies, who should be CEO, which logo a company should use. I mean, that cuts against free market orthodoxy.
Some of the teachers who I've spoken to, they start each day by just looking at the headlines and having their students share, how they think what the Trump administration is doing or what's happening outside of the classroom is affecting them, their family, their peers. And curriculum, can be difficult to update, but it's something that teachers are having to constantly think about to make sure that they're giving a well-rounded lesson that, these are the basic economic principles, but what's coming from the Trump administration, what's happening politically outside the classroom is definitely influencing those conversations.
Ayala Cheffy is senior education reporter at Business Insider. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
We have a special edition posted of the Marketplace News Quiz now, featuring questions akin to the ones the high school students are getting. Test your own knowledge at marketplace.org. Quick, what does the acronym EBITDA stand for? Earnings before I don't know. In Los Angeles, I'm David Brancaccio, Marketplace Morning Report. From APM, American Public Media.